Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, the 30th of October. And I woke up and just had an idea of something I thought was a unique take on the world. So I'm a fitness coach now. And the reason I'm a fitness coach now is because I've had such a struggle with my health in the past. I have been almost anorexically thin. I have been over 200 pounds, morbidly obese. And now I'm hanging out as a very struggling around 120, 130 pounds and actually living healthy, right? So I'm actually now in the game, struggling like everybody else, right? Just diet and exercise. Uh, I haven't come to this easily. I'm not done by any means. Every single day is a struggle for me to eat well and to keep my mental health about me. And I think that's what makes me a good coach is I have understanding of the struggles a woman goes through when it comes to weight and health and how our mental struggles play a huge role in what goes on with our weight. I think it's a misconception to think that people gain weight just because they lack self control. That's absolutely not what I've found in my own life, and certainly not in the lives of my clients. Um, Women are strong, and there's a reason that we do everything that we do, whether it's conscious or unconscious. But today I wanted to talk about weight and why people stay big or put on weight, why they choose, if you will, whether they're conscious or not about it, to live in a fat body or in an overweight body, why they choose to live that way in a sedentary lifestyle, right? Um, it's not just because they are lazy or lack self-control. Maybe a little, but we're smart. Women are very smart, whether we know it or not. Sometimes there's always a reason for stuff. So I wanted to talk about why sometimes women will be overweight and why it's actually a smart decision for them, right? Obviously, it's not healthy, but at the moment, it is to their advantage. And I'm going to talk about that. I know that seems strange, but I wanted to maybe my intention is to also give you some understanding of why people are the way they are, not to have pity on them, but to have compassion and understanding, right? And understand they're human beings just like you. Maybe their issue looks different than you. If you're not someone who's ever struggled with weight, you may not understand these things. So instead of like having a judgment or anger towards them, I'm hoping this video will help you to understand why people put on weight or keep weight on for years. All right, number one, I just put some points together that I thought were relevant to this. So number one is it's your extra weight is actually a material representation of putting something, a border or a boundary between you, your real self, and the world. Because fat's not real. You've put it on. It's not really you. Your real self is fit, right? And feeling good. Overweight isn't real. So it's like you're physically manifesting something to protect yourself from the world. So if someone hurls an insult at you, you're fat, you're lazy, whatever, it's not really you, right? You know that. So when it hits, it doesn't hit as hard. You're actually creating a physical boundary between yourself and the world. It's protection, whether they know it or not. It really is. You are not as hurt by things because you know it's not real. Okay. So this could be conscious or unconscious. But that is a big advantage to having weight on you. You are a little bit more physically protected. Also, to add to that, with men, men can be very aggressive and scary, especially if you've had abuse in your past. This adding weight gives you a boundary and protects you more from being pursued or not attacked, but in your mind, you always are scared, right? If you've had some kind of history. So that gives you a little bit of extra. Maybe they won't hit on me if I put this extra weight on. Does that make sense? It makes a lot of sense, actually. So that's number one, a cushion, a boundary between you and the world. Okay. Second, people legitimately think you're funnier. So I notice when you are really fit, people don't really think you're that funny. Fit or attractive, they don't really find you as funny as you think you are at times. But when you're overweight, people tend to laugh at you more. They're way more receptive to you. They're not intimidated by you. So they're actually listening to what you're saying a lot more than focusing on your outer appearance. People focus on what you're saying, your personality. When you try to be funny, they're actually listening to that. You are living in a different body, and people take what you're saying in a different way. So you will notice, well, I certainly did. This is when I was very big, that the world treated me as if I was much more funny. I was invited to a lot more parties because I was not a threat to anyone. People invited me over. Girls were nice to me. The husbands left me alone, right? So the wives were not in any way threatened. And I was part of the party. I was invited to things. I didn't feel so lonely and secluded and chastised. And it, being overweight, you are included. You're funny. People listen to what you have to say. Sometimes they actually think you're more pensive when you're overweight because they're like, well, this person must be smarter because they don't have the fit part, right? So they have to make up for it by being more intellectual or something like that. So I did notice that. I was invited to a lot more parties. People laughed at my jokes. People would talk to me. They invited me out shopping. And so I personally was only big for maybe 3 years or so, but I noticed, I mean, it blew my mind how different the world treated me, how much better, to be honest, the world treated me when I was overweight, how much more kind they were to me. So that's another few points is how the world treats you. Also, people tend to have pity on you when you're big. So they send you that like, oh, poor thing, she's just XYZ. That kind of gives you a little bit of food, if you will, for being a victim. Like, oh yeah, yeah, like I am struggling. Oh yeah, poor me. Like I've got a lot going on. I just can't pay attention. Like you can kind of become the victim because everyone's telling you that you are like, poor you. They feel sorry for you, right? In reality, they shouldn't feel sorry for you. You're welcome to become more fit, but it is an advantage of being overweight is to have people pity you. I think that it's a temptation to feed on that energy, right? You can kind of start to believe that, yes, oh, you are more worthy to have people pity you. Your life is harder than other people, right? And that's what everyone's telling you. Whereas when you're fit, no one's telling you like you're a victim or oh, poor thing. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are some circumstances where that goes on, but when you're overweight, it happens a lot. People are just more treating you like with kid gloves, sort of, right? And that you can take advantage of it. And that's not true. You're just as equally qualified to do anything in the world as anyone else. But for some reason, that's how you're treated. What else? Oh yeah. Being overweight can almost be like your version of the middle finger to society. Society tells you should be fit, you should be pretty, you should do your hair this way, you should dress this way, you should be attractive to men, you should be conservative to women, you should, X, Y, like you need to do this, do that. The society and marketing and other women are constantly telling you what you should do. Being overweight is like sticking your middle finger up to everyone saying, I'm doing my own thing. I don't care what you say. I have other worries in my life. I don't want to participate in this. And honestly, fair enough. It gets to the point sometimes where you just want to throw your hands up and say, I'm done trying. I can't do my hair this way anymore. I can't dress like this anymore. Everything has to fit a certain way. It's so exhausting. And so just draining to try to fit into what society tells you to be like, that becoming overweight is just such a relief of I am not participating anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I cannot try anymore. I'm exhausted. I understand. So it's a rebellion, it's a middle finger to society, and it's a reaction, right? And a valid one, to be honest. It's a very understandable reaction to how strenuous, what kind of pressures we are under as women. So that's another reason why people are overweight. And of course, one that we all understand is yes, you get to eat and drink whatever you want without shame. Once you have given up and said, I'm going to embrace being overweight and fat, you do get to eat whatever you want. So you do get to drink the sugary drinks. You do get to eat the cakes and the cookies and the chips. And you do get to just dissociate. When you start dissociating, eating these sugary things, because it's not really food, and you're over consuming, you're dissociating from life. So you get to forget about life and just eat this drug. So you're basically a drug addict. And somehow, overconsumption isn't talked about like being a drug addiction. It's kind of sheltered in a way because so many people have this problem. So, but it really is, it's a drug addiction. And the benefit is that you're dissociating from real life, right? You're just concentrating on how good it feels when you're eating. So, yeah, that's a big benefit is you're on drugs, basically. Um, you kind of get a little bit of a euphoric feeling when you're in this overindulgence mindset, when you're actually participating in like the eating too much, the overconsumption. Finally, let's say you eat too much and then you feel pain, your stomach hurts, right? You feel like crap. This is actually fantastic. The benefit of that is that you don't have to think about your real problems in life, things that really hurt, like your kids are not speaking to you, like wounds from childhood that you've never dealt with, your dad that was never there for you, like the fact that you're scared about finances. So real things, or let's say you're scared of death, let's say you're having spiritual issues and you haven't talked to God for a while. You get to focus on your health, like, oh no, I should, I'm in pain, this hurts, I feel bad, I wonder if I have this disease. All of that is a distraction. It's a very convenient distraction from what the bigger picture is, which is death is coming. Are you going to fix all these major problems in your life? Are you going to find peace? Right? No, that's way too much. So we're going to focus on how much my stomach hurts right now. We're going to focus on, do I have a gluten problem? Do I, it's a very convenient distraction. Okay. Let me see what else I put. Okay. Also, it does actually give you an excuse not to work hard. Working out is actually hard. Like, it's not fun. You do have to have a lot of self-discipline. It's not, motivation comes and goes, but long term, to continue to work out all the time requires a lot of effort. You have to plan for it. You have to shop for the proper clothes, the right shoes. You have to find a gym. You have to learn how to work out. And then you actually have to work out. And working out is very confronting. You have a mirror in front of you. You have to stare at yourself. You have to see where your imperfections are. It is very daunting, and you have to do it over and over and over again. It is not that fun. It can be, obviously, for those of you who have worked out and know like the high of being very fit. It can be good. You can get motivated. Let's say you're going to run a marathon or whatever. Pride can be a big motivator. But in general, working out just to stay fit is very difficult. So when you're overweight, you are really putting extra strain on yourself. You're making it harder on yourself. So an overweight person going to work out versus a fit person going to work out is way more difficult for the overweight person than it is for the fit person. Way more difficult. They are faced with having to confront so many more realities and looking at such a bigger hill that they're going to have to go up than the fit people. So when you're overweight, it is harder for you. So as you continue to reinforce, gosh, I really don't want to get up, my body hurts. Their body really does hurt. It is way harder for them. So they're actually creating a life in which they're giving themselves more excuses to not have to do that. And I think it's easier than to say no to working out. It creates that space to continue to fuel their drug habit. So anyway, why is that an advantage? It's just an advantage because it's an excuse to not, still the same thing, to not have to look at reality and to have to face your actual problems, which are continuing to mount, right? And then finally, I think the biggest one for me was to not be a threat in society. It's really nice to be liked and to be included and to not, and if you're a woman in the world who is attractive and who is fit, a lot of women don't like you. They don't want you around. They don't want to be friends with you. They definitely don't want you around their boyfriends or husbands. And that can be extremely isolating and lonely. And when you're overweight, you do not have that issue. You're included. people have you around, you're invited. So you're not a threat in society. You fit in, right? That I think is the biggest advantage. But so all of that said, my reason for making this video was although I am a trainer now, I still struggle with these issues and with the temptation of becoming overweight again. I know it sounds funny, but it's actually, it has nothing to do with lacking self-discipline. There's advantages to checking out, just like being a drug addict, just like dissociating into TV, any kind of way to escape reality, right? So I want us to understand, if you are overweight or someone in your life is overweight, that it's not necessarily just a lack of self-discipline. There are other factors going on, and it's really important to have compassion for people, not judge people, and to be there for them in any state, and to treat them as you would treat yourself, not with too much pity, but as a regular person, right? Either way, whether they're fit, whether they're not fit, these are regular people having regular problems, trying to deal with life in the best way that they can. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a fabulous holiday season, speaking of that, and I will talk to you soon.